Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is J Caliber here with a video that I am relieved to be making. TF2 is on the mend and is now in a much more playable state than it was over a month ago. Over the last month, the TF2 team at Valve has released 3 updates to combat the onslaught of hackers and spam bots in TF2. I was going to make a video talking about each of these updates, but to be honest with you, the updates when they came out still left some of the minor issues, and it was quite clear that that wasn't the full update, that this was basically going to come out in waves. So basically just left it that the other YouTube channels would deal with the regular updates, and I'd just do a summary at the end of the month with everything that Valve has done so far, as well as just posting the updates on my Twitter and Discord to get the word out there. The first update that we got to combat this was on the 16th of June. This update added a slightly controversial feature where free-to-play accounts are unable to use the text chat feature in-game. Only on Valve-made servers though, which admittedly does suck for new players, but I'm sure Valve are going to make some sort of prime account feature just like they did in CSGO. They even have a sub-note mentioning that they are working on dealing with new accounts that are acting abusively, basically to confirm this isn't the final update. This is a feature we're going to be working with, which people seem to not be able to understand and read as a very clear header on the notes. They also made it a lot easier for people to remove text chat and voice chat, which is very helpful, especially if you're a content creator. The feature was always there. It's just that it was under the you had to put in a command, a console command, and a lot of people don't mess around with that, which admittedly, this is quite a handy feature to have, especially if you're like streaming and recording and stuff like that. I've been quite lucky with my recording sessions, but it's something to be aware of if you do YouTube or Twitch, which with TF2 content-wise. Then they fixed a load of other little in-game bugs, which is pretty cool. And after this little update that we got, loads of folk were really salty on Twitter about Valve don't deserve to be, noticed for this. This is the bare minimum and all this, and I found that was really weird. I mean, there was folk being like, oh well, Valve are doing this when they should be releasing things like the heavy update. And like, well, Valve are never going to release a heavy update when TF2 isn't in a good spotlight right now. So what happens? Everyone comes in to check out the heavy update. TF2 has its highest player count in 5 years. Games full of hackers and spam bots and racist bots. Nobody will be making content on it. Nobody will be talking about it. Nobody would want to stick around. A lot of the people saying stuff like this that I've seen, at least on Twitter, were usually of the younger age, and I don't even know how they thought that was going to go. But it's a very weird mindset on the way that TF2 is developed, or any game is developed for that matter. The following update we got after this was on the 24th of June. This update was going to be a lot smaller anyway, because it was in a much shorter period of time, obviously. Just trying to get the updates out as they've got enough to pour out in an update. You're not going to make things as it's made, but you're going to get little patches together and put them out bit by bit. And this made it so that players basically have a limit to how many characters they can put into the text chat, so that hackers can't go and copy and paste a massive, almost never-ending script into the text chat, so you can't go and report that there's a hacker. So basically hackers were like spamming in bits of the conversation. They've made it so they can't do that either, so there's a cooldown now on things like spamming and whatnot. I'm not quite sure how that works, how the cooldown works and how quickly it works, because you can still maintain a conversation, but it's basically to stop people from having a hacker in the game and you not seeing messages from the enemy team telling you that you have a hacker on your team so you can deal with it, because obviously only the team that the hacker is on is able to kick said hacker, and if you don't know, you can't kick them. They also made it that characters, and I mean players at least, can't change their team display name to stop, and basically this was to stop people from making their name a series of racist messages, which was a pretty big move, and this was something that these racist accounts were doing in retaliation to not being able to use text chat, so they started changing their name to racial slurs and whatnot, and Valve just completely shut that down, so you can't change your name like that. And it was one of the only issues I was seeing regularly myself. Other than that, a few little patch notes that they added that were greatly appreciated, fixed a few little bugs and whatnot, and added some medals. They've added medals actually in all 3 of these little updates, which I'm glad to report. And finally, as predicted by Big Joey Slack Nuts on Twitter, there was another update bound to come out in the time span of a week, being the most recent update launched on the 3rd of July. This removed the ability for these free-to-play accounts to be able to use voice chat, which personally I voice chat off, but when I do have it on, I don't even think people were using it. It still shows me that people are talking, I just don't hear them, everything's muted. But they made it so that voice chat and text chat work the same way. They removed the annoying as hell bug that was removing your secondary and third cosmetic items, which folk were telling me and reporting on Reddit and stuff like that. It was some bot accounts were causing this to happen. But as far as I'm aware, it was actually just a game bug. I don't know why people were blaming it on bots. I think it was just people trying to come up with a reason to hate. Then they fixed the bug that had irritated me for years now, and this was quite a biggie. I'm glad they did this, where in TF2, when you get to level 150, you can reset your progress, only at level 150. And it'll take you back down to level 1, but you're on tier 2. And you go up a tier every time you do this. It's like the Call of Duty Prestige series. And in the casual scoreboard, as it's been, you can't tell if someone's a tier 1, a tier 2, a tier 3, a tier 4. I've had games where, someone who's clearly a level 10 or something has absolutely kicked my ass, but then it turns out they're a tier 3 level 10 because the badges are the same. Well, Valve have now made it, or at least someone at the TF2 team has now made it, that the badge has a color associated with it for the tier that it is, which is quite cool. They already have a color, but then the wings that come out of that badge have like silver and then gold and purples. I don't know what the number associated with each one is off the top of my head for when I'm actually in game, but it can tell you if someone's a more experienced player or not. I'm very, very glad that they have added this feature because it just kind of shows you a more realistic representation of the levels in that game. They also added a feature to the report and mute section where it now shows you when the person connected to the server, so it's easier to kick the hackers that joining your games. There was this thing where hackers were joining games and changing their names to someone else on their team and copying their profile photo, especially if they didn't have a profile photo, because that was easier, and then hoping that you wouldn't kick them, and then they just change their name to other players. Now when you go to kick people and report people and mute people and whatever, it'll show you when they connected to the lobby, which I'm glad they did. It's just a good move. I'm glad they sort that one out. That's been an issue for quite a while with the hackers. All in all, I'm really impressed with all this work, considering we were pretty certain there was only one person working on TF2 at this current moment in time. And I know still in this case, if it is one person or not one person, I'm very impressed with the amount of work that an individual might have achieved at this point. But it might not be the case. There might be a team of them. It's just, as far as we're aware, there's only 1 or 2 people working on it. And I have to say the work from home initiative set up to combat COVID-19 has definitely benefited the visible productivity of the TF2 team, whether it be 2 or 1 or how many people are actually working on it. I'm very glad that they've achieved this and sorted the issues that have been getting worse and worse over a period of time. I hope members of the community, be it YouTubers, Twitter users, or others, can get over the fact that the game isn't really, updated weekly like Fortnite, and acknowledge that, some of the best responses to a problem we have in TF2 will take a while for the team to sort. That they take a while to sort out. It can genuinely be one person. I'm just glad that if it is or if it isn't, they have acknowledged the issues and they genuinely are keeping a tab on the game to make sure that it doesn't go, bad. I personally think the work has been amazing, and I'm glad that whoever is working on the game is still doing so instead of pursuing something bigger for their career, like working on a future Valve VR title or something like that. Because at the end of the day, having an incentive to work on TF2 now must be very difficult for them. I've been Jay Caliber. Thank you for watching these videos. I upload weekly TF2 videos and would appreciate you sticking around and considering subscribing. Consider checking out my Discord, Twitch and Twitter in the links down below. This week's subscriber shout out goes to Foxy Yeet for subscribing to the channel. Cheers, my dude. I greatly appreciate the subs. Quickly getting to that 2K mark now. I've been Jay Caliber. Adios.